Welcome to the BXG Podcast, the podcast where pop culture and nerd culture meet at the nexus of the universe and are melded seamlessly as F-14 fighters and rogue states. I am the host of this episode, Greg Schultz, alongside my co-host, Brenton Beswick. Brenton, how are you doing this fine eve?
I'm chewing.
You're chewing. What are you having? Having like a popcorn delight?
Fritos,
the chip of champions. I had a Frito about a month ago. I had like a small bag of Fritos.
I was going to say just one.
Not just one. I'm not a huge snack. I snack as a meal now. This is the weird thing I will say before we get really into this. But I did have a Frito and I forgot how much I liked Fritos. I really like Fritos because they are that perfect mix of like that corn sweetness and then a nice saltiness. Biggest thing for me back when I was a chubbier child, the Fritos scoops with into salsa. Any sort of dip. Oh,
great
my
with
goodness.
Salsa. Great Woo! With salsa.
Woo! Heat in the streets back in the day. But this is not about chips and dip this episode. We're talking about our review of the Memorial Day weekend highest grossing movie ever, Top Gun Maverick. It is obviously a huge picture that just came out this year. It was film stars Tom Cruise as Captain Pete, Maverick Mitchell reprising his role from the original alongside Miles Teller, Jennifer Connelly, Jon Hamm, Glenn Powell, Lewis Pullman, Ed Harris, and Val Kilmer, which was great. It's set 36 years after its predecessor, and this was a movie that people had been itching for a really long time. So 36 years, it's been a while. It follows Maverick's return to the United States Navy Strike Fighter Tactics Instructor Program, also known as Top Gun, where he must confront his past as he trains a group of young fighter pilots, among them the son of Maverick's deceased best friend, Goose, played by Miles Teller as Rooster. I saw this as an afternoon showing, a matinee in a pretty packed theater. People were geared up for it. It was fun to see it that way. I wasn't sure, just because you're seeing it as a matinee on a Sunday, you don't know what you're getting into, especially when coming out on Friday and people have stuff to do. And I had very high expectations for this, obviously, as a Tom Cruise guy, but just someone who I just share my love of action movies. But I will share this to you first, Brenton. As someone not a Tom Cruise guy, but you do like a good action movie, and I think you enjoyed the original. You have the original as your background there. What was your takeaway from Top Gun Maverick? What was your setting, number one, and what did you take away?
I saw this on Memorial Day in matinee, and took a kid from work to see the movie, and I would say that we probably brought down the average age of viewer by a good 20 to 30 years.
Really?
Yeah,
ours was really mixed.
A lot of older people. Outside of that, there was maybe like one family. But that was our small theater in a small town,
Right. Yeah.
As far as thoughts, I think it's only right for you to kind of talk about this first, because this is more of a you thing than a me thing.
So like I said, I have gone on and on about how much I enjoy Tom Cruise movies. I separate the art from the artist. Obviously Tom Cruise, all of Scientology, that stuff. I mean, there's a lot of people that we all really like that are into Scientology that people don't even necessarily know. He just happens to be, the most famous
one
of all
that
these
jumped
people.
Up and down on Oprah's couch.
Yeah, and that wasn't even because of Scientology. That was like a whole other thing. And he's
right.
had, some interviews and things like that. But that aside, I really enjoy Tom Cruise movies. I've always said that whether or not the movie was necessarily good, I think he is just great in movies. Acting is different in every movie. Is he the greatest actor alive? No, of course, I'm not going to say he is the greatest actor alive, but I really have enjoyed his charisma and the way he can take over a movie, the way that the camera gravitates towards him, all these things. There's something about him that has always worked for me. Now, I have also been compared by a former coworker of mine to Tom Cruise in the way that, like, she just thought Tom Cruise was very handsome, and she is an older lady than I. That's all I'll say. She is just older than I am, age, but we won't, And she thought Tom Cruise was very cute, and then started calling me Tom Cruise. So maybe that plays a little bit part into that. Of that, she enjoyed the way I looked and enjoyed the way Tom Cruise looked. And our personality, the charisma. I like to consider myself a fairly charismatic fellow. I think the camera shines towards me. I like to be at the center of attention.
Talk about the movie.
Because I will. But I'm just backing up my Tom Cruise. But to go into the movie, the very beginning where he welcomes everyone to the theater was hilarious to me, and I loved it because it was just like there's only one actor that would do this, and I think there's only one actor who could do it and like pull it off, and you're like, it's corny, and that's fine with me. Like, I was fine with the corniness of it. I laughed during it because I was like, this is crazy, but you're Tom Cruise, so I'm okay with this because you have pretty much only brought me joy in movies your entire career, so I'm 100% fine. And like real G's, real speed. Like, he's just letting you know, like, this isn't, CGI. This is like, I have been trained to do everything, including sell real estate. And this is going to really, really work. And then you just get, you get danger zone right from the beginning. You get that sunset kind of thing. And if you've ever been in Southern California, it looks like that at the ocean sometimes, where you get that nice orange hue. I was hooked right from the beginning. And this, to me, was just like, I haven't seen an action movie like this in such a long time in the theaters, where you're just like, you feel it. Everyone's having a good time. It doesn't matter. Like, that's what I love. It just didn't matter. I know people are making like political things about it. This didn't have politics. It's hot people doing cool things. And damn it, I love it. I love hot people doing cool things because I like to think I'm a hot person doing cool things. You know what I mean? Like, and we all should feel like that. I don't mean that like in a way. It's just like, when you're doing something, you should feel good about what you're doing and like have fun doing it. And this was that movie to me. It was right from the beginning, he flies the jet off and he's going against the rules, all this stuff, all very cool, all very much like Tom Cruise action movie, to the time where like they pick on him at the bar, they throw him out, and then they realize he's their, the guy in charge. And it's just, this was just so much fun. And I am like a huge Miles Teller fan. I really think he's a good actor. I think that he has he's just always solid. Whiplash is one of my favorite recent movies. I think he's so great in it. I think he just has I think he also has a solid charisma on like Tom Cruise level. And then obviously Jennifer Connelly, Jon Hamm, just people I just enjoy. But the person that really stood out to me was Glenn Powell. Like, guy is just, got a smile that shine a light on the entire world. He's got like that great charisma, super handsome guy. It was just, to me, just that kind of movie that it's action. And then to pull it back, you get Val Kilmer. It pulls at the heartstrings. If you really care about this movie, and if you care about Val Kilmer, if you've seen that movie, the documentary about Val Kilmer, done by Val Kilmer, it like really hits you in a way. And it just made me feel good. It was, when we go into Marvel movies now, Brenton, I always am nervous. I'm nervous that, are we going to be able to keep doing this? I love Marvel. Is this going to matter? This is a movie I wasn't nervous about. This is a movie I was like, this is Tom Cruise. This is action. The only thing I have to worry about is how sweaty am I going to be from how awesome this is. And the theater actually got hot, so I did get sweaty from that. But I loved every second of it. I thought it was a good way to tie it all together. Tom Cruise is awesome. Miles Teller's mustache is awesome. The football scene was just a nice cherry on top. I also like that game of football. That was cool. I was like, I would like to play that game of football. That's like all action all the time. But no, this was really fun to me. just very over the top, but like perfectly over the top for me. And I really, really enjoyed it. And I'm glad that I enjoyed something with action that wasn't a Marvel movie. And I saw it in theaters and it made me very happy. And I'm actually going to go see it in IMAX, I think, this weekend because I was so on it.
It's 97 critical, 99 audience score currently on RT. I thought it was fine.
This is what I figured you would say.
It's Tom Cruise. We've had this conversation.
Yeah.
I mean, we can rehash if you like. I think he's one of the most overrated actors in the history of Hollywood. I think that he's perfectly fine. I think to me, he's Mr. 7.5 out of 10. It's kind of the conversation, honestly, that we had about Top Chef last week, where one of the contestants can give you a 9 at any time, but he can also give you a 2. And one of the contestants that we don't particularly like too much is very consistently going to give you a 7. And that's kind of what I feel with Tom Cruise. He's not going to give you anything. He's not going to give you a 10. He's not going to give you a 10. He might give you a 9, but he's not going to give you anything less than a 6.5. I think that that's how I personally feel about Tom Cruise. That's how I feel about him. The action sequences in this were cool. What were cool? I mean, there's no doubt, like seeing planes, like no CG and all that. It gets really taken for granted, some of the practical effects that can be done in movies like this. As far as the characters went, I felt like the plot was pretty by the numbers, very predictable.
Whatever. Like that's one of those things like most action movies are. I mean,
sure, but
even the best.
But what do we consider Spider-Man No Way Home? Because that is a plot that has a lot of layers to it.
The thing I'll say is I separate Marvel from action, because Marvel is just its own thing at this point. Marvel to me should be its own genre.
Yeah,
movie.
You're probably right.
I really do believe that.
Yeah.
Because there's difference between this and there's such a difference between this or Triple Frontier or, you know, the other movies we reviewed that were on Netflix that were just action movies and Marvel. Extraction. Yeah. And it's like, there's such a stark difference between these movies where like, and I'm not just saying like this one was awesome because of the no CGI and actually flying these planes and all that.
Well,
cool
I think
stuff.
that has to be part of it. You know what I mean? Like it is part of it. I do think that what they were able to do with these planes at the speeds that these things go at now is very impressive. There's no getting around that. You know what I mean? There's no getting around that. I thought the welcome message was very self-congratulatory. I actually hated it. It was my least favorite part of the movie.
Well, I said it was corny. I loved it because it was so corny.
I didn't think they used Danger Zone enough. You only got it once. You got it at like
at the very beginning,
whatever, at the very beginning. That's the song you have to use. That's like having an Indiana Jones movie and not having the Indiana Jones theme in it. It's fucking Danger Zone, man.
I think that the idea is like you play it once, you got to pay homage to it, but you don't want to rely on it. And
I think you rely on it. I think you go with it.
I'm just saying,
you lean into it.
Movies, I wouldn't necessarily disagree. You have the Lady Gaga song that is just like, you know, it's I love Lady Gaga. That's a whatever song.
I did see that in the credits.
It's a very end. It's a very end song. You know, like it is what it is. Unless it's a James Bond theme song,
sure. Yeah,
they don't really matter. And you know, Danger Zone is one of the few songs that really matters. Sure. And in a way, I actually preferred it at the beginning because.
Well, I liked it how they used it. I just felt like you could have squeezed it in there one more time, like during those training montages where he's going, "That's kill, that's kill, that's kill." Yeah. You could have hit Kenny there.
You could have definitely hit Kenny, but then you got to pay Kenny, and that's a lot of money.
If you're paying him to use it once, you
probably have to pay it. It's probably insane, like use it twice or something like that.
I don't know.
Just using a song twice just is weird too. So
They did it with Nirvana and Batman.
they did, but that's different, I think too. Like,
how's that different?
well, I think the thing is that is not an iconic song for a movie. That's just an iconic song. And this is an iconic song for a movie. But whatever. I mean, that's not really,
So
it's a great song for a movie. I will just 100% say that.
I guess like the scene with Val Kilmer was cool, but yeah, I mean, it's not that this movie like didn't do it for me or I didn't like it. It was just a 7 to me. I feel
it's
like
way higher than I thought you were going to give it, Brent.
I feel like
100% honest.
I feel like I'll have very similar feelings walking out of Jurassic World. It's like, okay, that was a movie that I didn't hate and it happened.
That's probably I probably have more that feeling of Jurassic World. Obviously, I love this movie. The only thing I was just really like keying on is like maybe it's just my own, and not just like the Tom Cruise-ness of it, but just going to an action movie that isn't a corny The Rock movie or isn't just, and even though you and I like Fast and Furious, it's like it wasn't that like
they're
like
almost their own genre too,
right? And it's just like it was just so nice to see that, and like people being excited. I will say the group that we saw it with, it was an average size one. Like Santa Barbara has like not huge theaters, so I'd say it was an average size theater, and basically every seat was filled. And I would say we were literally the meat. Like our age group, there were young people there, there were older people there. There were kids in my class, they're 11 years old, and they're like, Top Gun's the original Top Gun's like their favorite movie.
That
and
make sense. It
was really funny to me. Well, it's their dad. Their dad's my age.
Yeah.
And so there's like always that thing where like
I like the original, and I think I said this at one point during car. It's probably in my top 3 favorite Tom Cruise movies.
If I don't even know how it could rank. I mean, it's up there for me. I really like it. Color of Money is my favorite. But
I can't imagine anyone saying Top Gun is my favorite movie. Like, it's cool.
As a kid, though. As a kid.
Well, no, that's what I'm saying. Like you said, well, they got it from their dad. It's
their dad. What I say is their dad probably just watches it a lot because it's on like their dad's watching. There's a difference between like being our age and like I know you're a dad, but you're kind of like I don't know. There's
careful.
You have a different feel to you than probably the dads that I'm dealing with. I don't know how to like describe that. I don't mean it negatively, actually probably mean it more positively. Is that you're not just flicking and just like put TNT on.
Right.
You know what I mean? And like
or else my kid's favorite movie would be Shawshank Redemption.
Right, exactly. It's like your kid goes to school and just like Cam goes to school. He's like, I just watched Shawshank Redemption for the 5th time. I was like,
I was crawling through 300 yards of stinking.
Like, what's your favorite character? Oh, Morgan
Red.
Red. Yeah, Red.
He's a man who knows how to get things.
And so I think it's just that. I don't know. I mean, it was like when one of the kids in my class said that, I was like, this is crazy. Like, even if I had children right now, there's no way Top Gun would be their favorite movie. It'd be American Psycho. And just like, because they would just be on and be like, you deal with it or you don't. You want to learn about apartheid or don't you, child?
What do you, hey kids, what are you doing this weekend? Going to the pool. Go to see my grandma. I have to return some videotapes.
So I got to jump rope in my underwear and figure things out. Oh, but yeah. I would give this, for me, this is a 9.0. Just straight.
On, man.
I love
it's
it.
Not as
I love
good
it.
as Batman.
It's
not as good as Batman.
For what it did for me in the theater, it is as good as Batman.
No, you're out.
No, I can't judge it based on what it is, Brenton. I can judge it based on what it is. It's an action movie. It gave me all the feels of that. It did as much for. I walked out of both these movies feeling awesome both times.
You're crazy. That's crazy.
We're not. This is the thing, Brenton. I will say all the time. Batman should be nominated for Academy Award. This should not be nominated for Academy Award.
Stunts.
It could. Well, I mean, Best Picture. Yeah. Best Picture. But I enjoy both the movies. I will say I enjoy both the movies exactly the same.
There has to be a more hard and fast criteria than that. And that's
then
not
we have
me
to go into
saying this
smaller-
to you.
we can't do, we can't, if we're going to do, I can't say this is an 8.5. It's very, I loved walking out of this movie, Brenton. I was so stoked. I was so pumped after this. And I was pumped in a different way after walking out of Batman. Batman made me pumped because it's like DC does one thing right. And this is it.
Yeah.
As a movie. And for me, this left me, it was just like, wow, something that isn't a comic book movie was awesome. And that made me happy. It made me happy that it was in theaters.
So I would say that the unbearable weight of massive talent made me feel all of those things, but I wouldn't give it a 9.
What did I even get it now? I can't remember now at this point. It was 8. I think I even 8.5.
It was like 7.5. I don't know.
Or something. It was just, I mean, it had its flaws and stuff, but this to me, this movie just did. I walked out so pumped. I literally just.
So, but that's the thing is, this is where I'm at with this, is that, like we said, for unbearable weight, this movie accomplished everything it wanted to accomplish. Right. Okay.
100%.
But there were flaws. Okay. So to me, with Top Gun, and call it what you want, the fact that the plot was completely predictable to me is a flaw. There's a lot of different ways that they could have gone with this, but they went like literally by the numbers. Like you knew from the jump.
A flaw, though.
It is a flaw. It is a flaw.
There's a lot of books out there that just go by the numbers and are perfectly fine too, though. As long as everything leading up to the ending of this was cool. I don't think it's lazy.
It is lazy.
I don't think there's a lot of other things that led up to this, paying back that nostalgia. Just the cute little things in there. I mean, like,
so is Ghostbusters Afterlife as good as this? Because they did an amazing job.
That was really good too. I really left that movie pumped. I need to rewatch it. I can't wait to rewatch it. I haven't done it yet.
I just think that we're trying to be critical of these things. And sometimes when you have a movie that's for you, it's for you, right?
Sure.
So for
100% for me,
Ghostbusters Afterlife was for me, right? I'm going to probably look at that with a little bit more rose-colored glasses than I would if I was just going to see Ghostbusters Afterlife and have no connection to the originals. But 100%. I don't think that it's fair, if we're trying to be critical, quote unquote, to ignore the flaws of something just because we look at it through rose-colored glasses. Like I'm saying, this movie to me was a solid 7. My biggest problem was the plot was totally predictable. I would also say I have a problem with the fact that they never named the enemy. They didn't do that in the original either, and it's kind of like it's kind of like they're afraid to start.
Well, no, the biggest reason is they try to make these evergreen. That's actually the reason, is so that you can watch this 20 years from now. And if we're friends with someone now, if we're allies 20 years, that's literally the reason. That's actually the reason. I mean, it just is. It's to make it more evergreen. But this is the way I look at it. Brent.
Make it a made up country then. And sure, I know we're saying Marvel's its own thing, but that's what Marvel does. And it works. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
this is the thing.
There's so many stands that you could just tack a bunch of letters on front of. Like it's the new nuclear power of Shistana. Like pull a fucking country off the wristboard.
This is literally why I'll say I gave this
anymore.
This is why I give this a 9 though, Brenton, is like, if you're me and you like Tom Cruise action movies or just Tom Cruise in general, like there's no way I could give this a lower score than that, because this is, to me, like I have said, The Color of Money is my favorite Tom Cruise movie. And Paul Newman won the Academy Award for that movie. And Tom Cruise is awesome in this movie. I actually, like, if you saw today is Thursday, I posted something from that movie today on Thursday. One of my favorite scenes, and just honestly in movie history, I love the scene that I posted about Tom Cruise in that movie. Like, to me, that is a perfect movie. Like, I love The Color of Money. I think The Color of Money is a perfect movie. I don't think this is that far off in the way I feel about how much I enjoyed this movie. And to be critical about it is, yes, one thing, but I'm also want to speak to, like, I just really enjoy Tom Cruise movies. And so I I can't give this a lower score when there's nothing I disliked about this movie. I can't tell you that I honestly, for the 2 hours and 12 minutes that this movie ran, I was all in 100%. Like, I love every single scene. I love every line. Even if it was corny, I was like, well, this is kind of what this movie is. And like, that's okay with me. That's the difference of like, I think there's a reason why Sissel and Ebert did thumbs up or thumbs down. And I'm like 100% because there's something smart about that, where it's just, did you like it or didn't you like it? And like, that's there. And we're just doing a different scale. That's like, I really like this movie. So it was like 2 thumbs for me, you know, and that's just how I feel. I think being overly critical or like looking too deep in this isn't really doing this movie justice, because that's not what this movie is supposed to be. This isn't, this isn't Paul Thomas Anderson. This isn't Martin Scorsese, where there's all these little nooks and crannies that we need to go through. This is a fighter pilot movie about hot people doing cool things, like I said. And so you have to look at movies like this differently in a critical way.
We did the episode somewhere along the line, what makes a movie great. And one of those tenets to me was the plot, and it'll always be a tenet of a standout great movie. And this, I had issues with the plot.
Sure. And I'm saying what you're saying is fine. I'm just, the way we look at movies is a different way.
I guess, but
you and I both have a lot of movies that we really like. We both really like, and then there's movies that you like more than I do, and I don't necessarily like as much, and vice versa. But
yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it all comes down to taste, like your personal preference.
But my personal preference, and this is just something that, I mean, our mutual friend Ty would know probably this better than anyone, how much I love these movies. I mean, he and I watched, like, I think basically every Tom Cruise movie, and decided he was literally good at basically anything you asked him to do. And it was just, I hope that he sees this soon. If he hasn't seen it, I actually haven't asked him, and to get what he thought of it in a different way. Because I think he'll be in between us. He doesn't enjoy these kind of movies as much as I do, like in the Tom Cruise Renaissance. And, he's not on
That's
low.
Not a thing.
No, I just mean in like the Tom Cruise Renaissance is his entire career. I just mean his entire life is the Tom Cruise Renaissance, because he's never stopped. There's never been anything.
Yeah, but he's not exactly working at a breakneck pace either.
He breaks at a good pace every 3 or 4 years. The pandemic is the only reason this movie came out.
He's only done. When was his first movie?
1983.
Let's take a peek.
His first starring role is 83, I think.
I want to know his first movie.
Let's see.
Top Gun was 86. I have it up. I have his IMDb up.
I also have it up.
1981, Endless Love.
Yeah. It wasn't his first starring role, but
yeah, that's what I mean. The dude's been active for 41 years and has only made like 49 movies.
That's pretty good.
That's not super great.
For a star, it is. For a movie star, it is. For a movie star, that is. He's not a character.
50.
He's 50.
Well, no, 50 will be Mission Impossible.
Yeah, 50 will be. So he's almost 60, and he's made 50 movies. That's a movie star. That's just what movie stars do. They don't do every single movie. I just
want to look at
fairly
one thing
normal
as comparison.
I think that's just fairly normal.
It doesn't seem like a lot to me.
For a movie star, it is. Christian Bale has been around for 30 years and has done what? 20, he's been on around 40 years now, I guess. That's crazy. It's crazy to think about that. He's been around.
Newsies or Empire of the Sun.
Empire of the Sun, yeah.
Yeah. We go back.
I think that for actual lead actors,
well,
I think that's fine.
So just as an aside, Sam Jackson, first role.
He doesn't count. He's never a star in any movie.
What do you mean?
He's not the star of any movie. He literally does every single movie. He's not the star of Pulp Fiction. John Travolta's the star of Pulp Fiction. So
star.
you cannot compare him to anyone. Sam
the
Jackson
star
does
of
anything.
Snakes
If
on a
I made
Plane.
a movie and paid him $50, he'd be in it, Brenton.
He was the star of Snakes on a Plane.
That's the only movie he's ever been the star in. He doesn't count.
True.
You have to look at like people I said, like Christian Bale or Leonardo DiCaprio. Leonardo DiCaprio is the
I don't
perfect
understand why you get to choose the rules of this activity.
because Samuel L. Jackson is not a lead actor.
55
Tom
credits.
Cruise.
55 credits for Christian Bale first movie, 1986.
So right around the same time, about the same movies.
5 years.
And Tom Cruise is,
5 more movies in 5 less years. Leonardo DiCaprio.
So about the same. Leonardo DiCaprio is probably the best description of this. I mean, the biggest movie star.
He doesn't make a lot of movies either.
That's exactly it. That's what I'm saying. It's just you don't make a lot of movies when you're a big time movie star. You just don't.
Well, I can give you one example where that's not the case.
Samuel L. Jackson is a character actor. He plays Samuel L. Jackson.
Cage.
I will say Nicolas Cage is his own thing, though.
Again, you get.
He
to
also will
decide
take
the
a
rules.
paycheck, though. This is a whole. You're
That was
getting into
different.
things that he will literally take a
He was in
paycheck.
debt. He was in debt.
Right, and that's why he did so many movies. If Nicolas Cage was just
109.
better with his money, he would not have done all these movies.
Yeah, but he wasn't. In the same time.
It's just like Brenton. It's
time.
literally like saying if you made a bunch of money, you would just keep working.
Yeah, I would. Why
If you were flat out freaking rich, I would hope you would just not keep working your day-to-day job. That's
no, I
like
definitely.
what you're saying.
I definitely would. Here's the thing. Okay. Nick Cage in the same amount of years. Tom Cruise has 50 credits. Nick Cage has 109 credits. You know what else Nick Cage has that Tom Cruise doesn't have?
Academy Award. Yeah. Okay. And Tom Cruise has been nominated 3 times for an Academy Award too. I mean, like,
didn't win any.
And we've gone on about this where that doesn't matter either. Winning an Academy Award isn't. Christian Bale has 0 lead acting Academy Awards. He has nominations.
He has an Oscar though.
He has for a supporting role. Tom Cruise has never been a supporting actor in a movie.
Still an Oscar.
He's never been a supporting. What I'm saying is, there's
you
also
said that he
flavors.
was the supporting actor for The Color of Money. That Paul Newman was a star and won Best Actor.
No, they were. I think they were both considered lead actors in that movie, and the people that produced that movie wanted to make sure Paul Newman got nominated, so they put him in that.
My stance.
Tom Cruise is the second name in that movie because Paul Newman is one of the greatest living one of the greatest actors of all time and greatest living actor at that moment when that movie came out.
My stance. And then we can either move on or wrap up.
I just want to wrap up because we're not going to agree on this. People that make big movies don't star in a lot of movies.
My stance is that Tom Cruise is the most overrated actor in the history of acting.
You're 100% wrong in his
Well, no,
movies.
I'm not 100% wrong. I'm not 100%
You
wrong.
are.
No, I'm not, because that's my stance. It's my stance. It's my opinion.
In my opinion, is you're 100% wrong.
Well, my opinion is you're 100% wrong.
Because his movies are always good. His movie, he's one of the few actors where all his
thing is that overrated
you just said
doesn't
all his
mean
movies
bad.
are at least 6.5. That's
that
good.
doesn't overrated doesn't mean bad.
What overrates him
does not mean bad.
What overrates him
then? Movies are not great.
But what overrates him as an actor? What overrates him as an actor?
Are you going to let me answer, or are you going to keep cutting me off?
I will wait for you to actually give me a real answer.
Well, I've been trying to, but you keep talking over me. He's paid like he's the top box office guy, and he's not.
He makes a lot of his movies make a lot of money.
He's not the top dog. He's not.
Tony, and he still gets paid a lot of money. He's getting paid less than Robert Downey Jr. did for Marvel movies. Those movies made it obviously more money. So he's getting paid what is relative to his box office.
He is. I do not understand where all the love for Tom Cruise comes from. I don't understand it. I do not understand it. I don't think his movies are anything better than good. Some of them I would say are very good. I've never seen a Tom Cruise movie that I would consider great. He
Few
makes
Good Men?
good. He makes good to very good movies.
You would not say
Per
A Few
my
Good Men is a great movie.
Per my
I just
opinion.
want that.
I
All I
don't.
want.
I've seen it once. I honestly don't really remember it.
Okay, that's the only one. I will. Other movies all aside, that's fine. My thing is, I think maybe you are overrating Tom Cruise in your head because I don't think he is someone that I think a lot of people dislike Tom Cruise.
I don't not like him. That's what you.
But no. What I'm saying is, I don't think you dislike him.
I'm not saying he's bad, and I don't dislike him. I think he's overrated.
I think
he's overrated.
You think that
Chris Paul's overrated.
This is what I'll say, Brendan, is I think that I'm in the minority of thinking that all his movies are awesome. I think you're countering my belief of Tom Cruise and not the public. I don't think the public really is on my side of Tom Cruise.
He just had the best opening in Memorial Day history.
Well, this movie is fun and people needed something like that. That's my thing on it. It's what else were people gonna, and this was a great movie. I really enjoyed it, but what else were people gonna do? You don't want to hang out with your family.
Bob's Burgers.
I want to see that.
Downton Abbey, the New Beginnings.
I do want to see the Bob's Burgers movie. I will 100% see that because I love that show.
I'm not a Bob's Burger guy.
You're not?
No. Mm-mm.
Really?
Mm-mm.
It's really. I'm shocked. I thought you would actually really like that. Well, whatever. I mean, I didn't want this to be that contentious because I'm not even like it's not you on that end of things. It's just I think you have this. I think your perception is that he's actually like more highly rated than he is, but I actually don't think people really like him.
And this kind of goes into the whole thing that you were talking about last week, where you said he's the only movie star left because of his on-screen and off-screen charisma. I feel like his off-screen antics have really alienated people. He has got no relationship with his daughter. He does crazy Scientology stuff. He's on screen and he's fine, but I think off-screen, like he's really alienated people.
And this is I actually want to say this. I want to put this in the can for like an episode, but I like to think about like actual movie stars as something we need to, because that's
what is that
so different now. I think it means you put asses in the seats no matter what your movie is.
Yeah, so you have to be able to tell you who's probably the biggest movie star then. The Rock.
No, he's a movie star.
Yeah. You said that Tom Cruise is the only movie star left.
He's the only. So what I mean by that is he's the only one left of like I was just say this is what it said. He's the only one left that actually does what he always does, and that still works. The Rock is kind of all over the place. Like The Rock does family movies. The Rock does action movies. Doesn't go back on that. Like maybe The Rock is the biggest movie star. It's probably accurate. But I think Tom Cruise is the only one that can be Tom Cruise, and it still works. Like his movies are just action movies. They're just action movies at this point. There's nothing.
Yeah.
And that's what I mean. There's nothing else going on other than their action movies. And they've been like that now for 20 years.
His dramatic roles in the like early to mid 90s weren't bad.
No, I mean, what happened, I will 100% say, and this is what I believe happened, is that he definitely thought, and I think deservedly should have won for Magnolia's Best Actor, and he lost. And he said, screw this, I'm just going to put out blockbusters now. And that's basically what changed in his career. Because after that, he just did all these kind of movies. And he got nominated for a Best Actor. In a really good movie, in a weird movie, but a really good movie.
Is that the one with the frogs?
Yeah. Janie has one of those frogs.
That's weird. They're real? Is it still alive?
No, it's not real. It's in like covered in like formaldehyde. That'd be cool if it was still alive. Jake threw it at me one day. I wasn't ready for it.
Okay, so I'm going to give you my top 3 Tom Cruise movies. Okay. And then you do with that, you make whatever other assumptions about that list. Okay. Number 3, Top Gun, the original. Okay. Number 2, Far and Away.
Okay.
Nicole Kidman.
Yeah, I know the
movie. Yeah. Number 3 is The Last Samurai. And it's less about him, more about
number 1 is
Samurai. Number 1, Last Samurai. And that's less about him and more about just like the examination of the culture. Ken Watanabe samurais obviously are awesome. It's just Dances with Wolves in Japan.
Sure.
So,
I mean, well, I won't. This is the thing is like, obviously my top 3 is going to be different.
Yeah.
But I think also it's one of those things where like, that's kind of what tells me about Tom Cruise is like, he can do different things. Like I said, the last 20 years have not been different things in a sense of like, the movies are different, but they're action movies and the plots are just actiony. Like my top 3 doesn't include your top 3.
25.
Yeah, your top 3 is different than my top 3. I mean, Color of Money is one of my favorite movies of all time.
Yeah, you said that was the movie you thought was the best movie ever. We did the best movie ever episode.
Yeah, it's a movie for me that and like that always fluctuates, but I love that movie and we just watched it this past week and I felt like I was watching it for the first time again. Because it's Martin Scorsese, which a lot of people I think forget. And then it's Tom Cruise being very Tom Cruisey, and then it's Paul Newman. And so for me, it's one of those things where like, oh, these kind of people all doing this one thing, all working together. I really love that movie. I just, and I really like The Hustler, the movie that it's, essentially the sequel to. But you're taking Paul Newman, who is probably my favorite really actor of all time. And then you're taking Tom Cruise, who's in my top 3 favorite actors of like our generation, and putting him in the same movie directed by Martin Scorsese about like something that shouldn't matter, but does. So I have The Color of Money. And then if we're just talking Tom Cruise movies, I would say I have Mission Impossible, the first one, as my number 2 favorite movie. And then probably A Few Good Men is my 3rd favorite Tom Cruise movie.
Did he do Pelican Brief? Was he Pelican Brief?
Yes.
Okay.
Also, I mean, like he did a lot of like the Jack Reacher stuff and all that.
How many of those did he do? He did
Night and Day is also. I would just let everyone know Night and Day. If you just want to have a nice fun time, that movie is really fun.
Saw it.
It's a fun movie.
Yeah,
it's a fun movie.
Didn't like it.
Have you seen my brain? I had it and then like literally my brain just stopped. That's so funny.
Avatar.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter now. I think those early, I will say right after Magnolia, Tom Cruise movies are probably the ones that are just so weird that
Vanilla Sky.
That's what I was thinking of.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
That movie, that's
Penelope
Cruz in it too.
All that nonsense.
Yeah, Penelope Cruz and that. But anyhow, I just, to go back on this, I really enjoyed the movie. Brenton, I mean, you didn't hate the movie, and I thought
no, I did. I didn't hate it.
I was actually thinking you were going to hate it. So shocking to me. And I don't know. I don't know.
Because I think Tom Cruise is overrated.
Sure. And so I thought you were just going to think this movie was just like garbage or whatever. And you didn't. So.
No. Overrated doesn't mean bad.
No, I know that.
It just means it's not a 10. Something can be overrated and still be. A lot of people think LeBron James is overrated, and he's one of the two best players ever.
He is the second best player ever. You're correct.
One of the 2 best players ever is what I said.
He is the second best player. You are correct.
However you want to order that.
But yeah, so anyhow, no, I definitely obviously recommend it, and I think Brenton, do you recommend it? I guess you probably would.
Yeah,
definitely. Cool. So our next actual in theater movie review will be Jurassic World.
Jurassic World, yeah.
We'll probably have a few at home. Brenton and Greg.
Jurassic World's like in a week.
Yeah, but we might have a couple more. I mean, within this month. I was going to say a couple more within the month of like Brenton and Greg at home at the movies.
Yeah. We're going to do Under the Banner of Heaven coming up.
Yeah,
I have to watch all of it still, so that ought to be fun.
Oh, you'll be able to do it, Brent. You'll feel the same way about you'll start out and be like, oh no, this is weird. So you'll get into it. So all right, well, that was the movie review, Top Gun Maverick.
Got a little contentious.
Check it out. I did. We haven't done that. That's funny. Anyhow, honestly, I don't know if the next time we probably will get contentious going forward. I don't see anything we would. But that was fun for a little while.
I don't know.
Well, tit-a-tat. But check us out on YouTube for the videos. Like and subscribe. Ring the bell. Like you are leaving Long John Silver's and you got just the perfect amount of crispy stuff at the bottom of your chicken tendies, fish and tendies meal, and hush puppies. A little tartar sauce there. The fries at Long John Silver's, I actually think are underrated as just something that's underrated. And we will do an underrated, overrated episode coming up this summer. Get ready for that.
Yep.
I'm not
Tell you
necessarily
what's going to
saying
be number one on mine.
I think if we go just general, I don't even know where any of mine's gonna be so off the wall. I'm so crazy when it comes to this stuff. So crazy. I guess that might be like a point of contention, but mine will probably be more like food related.
Of course it will.
Stupid stuff. That'll be fun. So it's, and we don't have a set date for those, but send that stuff into us. And then also tell us what you thought about Top Gun Maverick. If you liked it, you didn't like it, or if you think Tom Cruise is properly rated, underrated, overrated. If you think he's underrated, that's actually kind of crazy. I will 100% say that. But all that stuff, let us know your favorite Tom Cruise movies. They're all pretty good, so you can go any direction you want. Like I said, check us out on YouTube. Check us out.
I'm gonna
the Spotify, all your Apple Music, podcast services, all that good stuff. Listen to us. Tell your family, tell your friends, tell your mothers, tell your cousins, tell your second cousins if you're in contact with them, aunts and uncles, all that good stuff. Let them know. Do all that good stuff. It helps. And leave reviews.
The Mummy.
That helps.
That movie blows.
Okay, that movie's bad. I'll say that movie's bad.
What about Valkyrie?
Valkyrie's weird but good.
Yeah, he wasn't the star of Tropic Thunder. He was in it though.
That a little cameo. That's a cameo.
Yeah.
I think that's like different. He's great in that though. He ends up kind of being the star.
Interview with the Vampire. He wasn't really the lead. Brad Pitt was. I like that movie though too. Actually,
yeah, that's good. That's a good movie.
Trying to see if there's a Young Guns.
He's awesome.
Uncredited.
Yeah, that movie's awesome.
Those are really like The Mummy. Oof, he was in Rock of Ages. Eek.
That movie was just like a cornball fest. I think that's just like that was just a cornball fest. I saw that actually in Toronto on stage.
That's weird. Yeah,
pretty good.
The Mummy's, oh man,
bad. The Mummy's bad.
Bad.
I will own that.
I don't think either one of these two movies, either Edge of Tomorrow or Oblivion, is supposed to be bad too. I don't know which one it is though.
I saw both. They're okay. I mean,
yeah,
I would say they're in your 6.5 Brenton range.
Valkyrie.
I'd say Valkyrie's a 7.5. Yeah,
I doubt
it's weird, but
all right, let's go.
Let's go.
We've got other stuff we got to do.
We got other stuff to do. My phone's also just dying. So.
Oh, good.
And Boston won, so I'm pissed.
Wow, that sucks.
Yeah.
Take care, friends.
Thanks for listening and watching, everybody.
Yep.